Hello AstonMTB fans, I'm going to go straight in and say it, probably the best mountain bike you can buy in 2024 and maybe the best one you can buy until about 2030, we'll see. Let's take a closer look at the Nicolai Saturn M.G.U. So this bike came in as an unexpected test bike. Normally on this channel, I buy all the bikes that I review and that you see. This one, Nicolai asked me if I could receive it for Rob Ride's EMTB and deliver it to him in Finale because I knew that I lived nearby. So Rob could fly in, make his much more professional and well-edited YouTube video for his YouTube channel. So I also recommend going and checking out Rob Ride's EMTB. And then Nicolai were nice enough to say, you can keep the bike for a few weeks after Rob's done his test and you can do anything you want with it. I've been riding the bike for a few weeks now. I put in a few 100 kilometers on it. So this is a 5-part video series. One part about the frame and the build kit. One video all about the Pinion M.G.U gearbox motor and Gates carbon drive system. One about the suspension kinematics, a ride video, and an Ask Me Anything with your listener questions. So what is the Saturn 16? Enduro mountain bike, 160mm travel front and rear, 29-inch wheels, with this groundbreaking Pinion M.G.U motor gearbox unit. It has the usual amazing Nicolai 7020 aluminium frame, as normal, completely made in Germany. It's got this box section down tube which houses the battery, all machined on the top nicely. And yeah, the usual Nicolai attention to detail, all CNC milled parts. Got this new top tube and seat tube junction, which is the new sort of design language, which is spreading across the whole Nicolai range. Something a bit more modern than their sort of old school approach previously. Quad seal bearings, which means a standard cartridge bearing with 2 O-rings either side, which fit into the frame. You can't see them, but that keeps any dirt and water out the bearings. They last for ages. It's got the mutator option on the seat stay. According to the website, you can't actually do anything with that, but I'm hoping that means you can put in a slightly longer one to run a mullet setup. You can't run longer travel on this bike because the belt drive tensioner is at the limit of how much slack it can take up. So 160 is max travel. I've already asked about putting in a longer shock and making it a 200mm travel bike. I think you could fit a longer shock in, but as I said, the belt drive tensioner can't take any more wheel travel. And the usual standards, 148 boost rear wheel, 31.6 seat post diameter, and now ZS 5656 straight head tube. This head tube's actually massive. This will sort out any stack height problems that people have had. Huge head tube. I think this is 170mm. On the bigger bikes, it may be 200mm. Absolutely huge. I think on the extra large, you might be on the limit of uncut steer tube length. This is nice, good for taller riders. It means you don't have to have a huge stack of stem spacers to get your handlebar nice and high for a modern ride feeling. And that also means you don't have a big flexy steer tube that's being flexed by 800mm wired lever. So that's great to see, much longer head tube. You're never going to be able to fit any dual crown forks on this, but long travel enduro fork, perfect. What else is there? 180mm rear brake mount. There's not many standards to talk about on this bike because it's got the motor gearbox unit, which is just integrated into the frame. It's got the Gates carbon drive, which we'll get onto in a future video. The only thing I would change is the off-white colour with the purple accents. Not a fan of that. But I was such a fan of the bike. I rode it about 5 kilometres, dropped Nicolai an email and ordered one. Custom build on that with some more interesting stuff later this year. Now let's have a look at the build kit. SQ Lab saddle, big fan of those. Bike yoke dropper, as I always say, best on the market. You can do the little revive feature, so if you get any air, any play in there, you can just bleed it in a couple of seconds. It's like brand new. They last for ages, never had a problem with those. With a really nice Triggy Alpha lever. Cockpit, we got SQ Lab grips, not my favourite, these lock-ons, but personal preference. A-cross bar, 35mm clamp, and race face turbine stem. It's also got the block lock headset, which stops your handlebars turning too far either way in the event of a crash or anything else. Magura brakes. I really like Magura MT7 brakes. Never had any problems with them. I've had quite a few pairs of those in the past. I don't really like this short lever or the more expensive HC3 lever. Just don't really like the ergonomics of it. First thing I would change on this bike would be to change to a Magura HCW lever. This is a Loic Bruni style lever, just a bit longer, a bit straighter, slightly nicer ergonomics in my opinion. Again, personal preference. But super powerful, never had any problems with them. Comes with 203 and 223 rotors. Big rotors, big power, fantastic brakes. Wheels are DT Swiss EX 1700 hybrid wheel set. Nothing crazy here, just a good value, solid DT wheel set. I'm a big fan of DT products. 28 spokes, front and rear, both 29. One thing I would like to see is a single speed specific rear hub with a belt drive. We're essentially running a single speed instead of a really wide cassette. So we should be able to use a hub on there, which has got better spoke bracing angle, more equal spoke tension on each sides, better wheel build, better ride feeling. Continental tyres. Do really like these Continental tyres. I've been using the downhole casing for over a year now on my other bikes. They're a little bit square profile for my liking and the dry conditions that I'm normally riding in. The downhole casing, a little bit sketchy for the speed that I ride and how hard I push into corners and the lean angle. A little bit vague when leaning onto the edge and can kick out a little bit. If you really smash it into corners, the carcass complies and it hooks up. These ones are the slightly lighter enduro casing, and these are absolutely fantastic on this bike, riding at lower speeds. Just they conform a bit more easily to the terrain and not getting that sort of unexpected kick out when you're on the edge of the tyre. I expected them to be a lot lighter than the downhole tyres, but the downhole tyre on paper is 1290 grams and this one is 1230 grams, but it is a different casing and does seem to be more flexible, but a good weight still for a heavy weight durable tyre that can handle some proper mountain biking and a bit of extra weight from the e-bike. Fox factory suspension. It's got the factory DHX coil shock on the back, which has the firm climb lever. Feels sort of okay, but same with the front and rear suspension. I'll just send it off, get it tuned. Stock suspension, sort of average at best. We've got the compression fully closed or just -1 on this. 30% sag, and it's just a bit soft, just wallows through a little bit too much. Same with the fork. This is the first time I've used the 38. It feels pretty good. It's a good fork, but it just sort of sits in the mid-stroke a bit. I'm not getting full travel. I did try to take off the top cap to remove some of the stock volume spacers, but I don't have the right socket for a 38 fork, even though I've got 10 different sockets in the garage. I don't have the one for a 38, and I tried with a big Nipex, and it just started to damage the top cap, and it's not my bike, it's a demo bike, so I didn't want to risk damaging that anymore. Seemed like it was very tightly fitted. Yeah, suspension feels pretty good overall. Geometry, 5 sizes to choose from, small to double XL. The reach on the small is 468, which is still a fairly big reach for a small size frame. All the way up to 550, absolutely massive, 550mm reach for the double XL. Should hopefully fit people about this big. I'm 185 or just over 6 foot, so I'm riding the large. In Germany and Holland, lots of tall people, so those guys are sorted. Chainstay, 459, nice and long. I'd like to say a little bit longer. The chainstay length is the same on all the sizes. This is again due to the belt and the tensioner. Normally Nicolai offer different chainstay sizes for different front end sizes, but on this bike it's fixed. Head angle on paper, 64.5. Feels slacker than that. I've also measured it and it's about 63 on this bike, or with my measurement, which is great. 63, bang on. Bottom bracket height. The bottom bracket height is only -5 drop below the axles on the 29er. This is great. On my custom bikes, I've been making the bottom bracket higher. This is for better ground clearance, better pedal clearance, because I hate clipping pedals on blind tracks, or if you race an enduro, you clip a pedal on something that you don't see. Horrible consequences. Better clearance for pedaling over technical terrain, really important on an e-bike. You're pedaling more and you're doing more technical climbs, so you want more pedal clearance, so you're not just banging your pedals all the time. And the reason we went to low bottom brackets were mountain bikes used to be really short, really small wheels with lower axles, and we were trying to make them more stable. So you drop the BB, makes the bike more stable. Nowadays, the bikes are much longer. You got much more stability from bigger wheels, more stability from a slacker head angle, shorter offsets. You don't need the BB to be really low, hitting the floor all the time. You can get away with having the BB a bit higher. And that also seems to help it turn, drop side to side, drop into corners. I think it makes the bike more playful, more lively. So yeah, nice to see -5mm drop on a 2929. So close to what I have on my custom bikes. Seat angle is 77.8, so yeah, pretty steep. So ideal for e-biking up the steepest climb you can find. So yeah, the geometry feels dialed. I've got the seat a little bit far forward, but I'm riding the bike with an 80, 81 degree seat angle, so I like it really far, as far forward as possible. Head angle feels good, BB height's good, not clipping any pedals, feels safe, and yeah, it rides amazing. No problems at all with the geometry. It basically rides similar to a G1 or any modern mountain bike, which is fantastic. Weight, I had to take the wheel off to weigh it because it was too heavy to weigh on my scales. They top out at 25 kilos. The weight is 26.17 kilos, and this is a large frame. I think that's 56 pounds. 57.5 pounds for our American viewers. Sounds heavy, but for an e-bike with a coil shock, dropper post, all alloy, essentially downhill weight tyres, and the gearbox, everything integrated, seems pretty light to me, or comparable to other bikes on the market. Price, 10,999 euros for this bike in this spec. Nicolai are only doing one spec in this bike, but they also do a frame kit, which you can then build with your own parts. Like always with Nicolai, you can choose any colour. You can have custom colours. You can have the front a different colour to the rear. You can have different colour linkage bolts, different colour rocker, different colour graphics, all those things. Tons of customization, and that price includes the 750 watt-hour battery. It's a little bit more, I think a 280 euro surcharge to go up to the 960 battery. Frame kit is also available, which includes the frame and basically the entire motor drivetrain system. So that gives you the display, the motor, the gearbox, the belt, the sprockets, and the cranks. So 7,500 for that. To me, the way things are going, it seems pretty cheap. If you compare the price of this made in Germany Nicolai with all these customization options, the price is definitely leveling out. If you look at a Specialized S-Works, a new Yeti, a Pivot e-bike, they're all 15, 16,000 or more. Scott, 17,000. So relatively cheap for what it is, I think. And talking of the frame kit, I love this bike so much. I've ordered one myself and I've gone straight in for a competition because I'm fully convinced by it already. So you can win a frame kit. Delivery is estimated for July. So if you go to my website, you can buy a ticket for £14. You can support independent reviews. You can have a chance to win a frame kit like this. As I said, comes with all the drivetrain parts you need. So to finish it off, you just get your saddle and dropper of choice, your handlebar stem, brakes, suspension, wheels. Boom, you've got the e-bike of your dreams. The last few little details to add, it comes with a normal Nicolai 5-year warranty and 10-year spare parts guarantee. So that means in 10 years from now, if you need a bolt or a linkage or any part, Nicolai guaranteed to have all the parts in stock for your bike for at least 10 years. I'm sure they say 10 years, but I'm sure if you have a problem with an older bike, they'll find you the right part, or they will have the part in stock anyway. That's it for the first part of the video. Join me in the second part where we're going to have a closer look at the motor, drivetrain and Gates carbon drive. Thanks for watching.